Hi everyone, Happy New Year. I wish you this coming 2025 health, wealth, and all the great things that you wish for yourself. For the people who say money is not important, I do not agree with that, nor believe them, because money is the cause of many problems. And the people who put that persona that money is not an issue, I'm going to be honest and say I disagree. There's been many times from myself I could say that when I was not able to pay for, basic needs, that night I couldn't sleep. So let's not pretend and say it is what it is. So that's why I wish all of you money, wealth, so you can meet your basic needs met and have a decent life. Also, the pastry that I'm making is gata. Most of you probably would think Olga is obsessed with making gata. That's not true. But there is a lady, she's a blogger. Her name is Elvira, and she travels throughout the countries. And there's been some communications that I had with her. So recently she went to my town where I grew up, and she met with this lady who made gata, and it does not entail yeast. And I thought to go ahead and give it a try. So most people, what I've noticed in her recipe, she doesn't really give you measurements. She just does it with eyeballing, and it always turns out very delicious and very good. So by looking at the recipe, I can make probably sense how much she was using in her recipes. For instance, for eggs, it was 2 eggs. For baking soda, it was 1 teaspoon. Anyways, and then like for flour, she didn't really indicate how much, but we can figure out. So for now, I have 1 cup of flour. So I'm gonna see if that's gonna be enough. If not, then we can go ahead and add. So for my recipe, I need flour. I need 2 tablespoons of sour cream and 4 tablespoons of yogurt. So I already went ahead and added this yesterday. I didn't think I was going to make a video, but it's mix of those 2 ingredients already here in my bucket. And I have 2 eggs. And so she used G. I don't have G, but if you have G, go ahead and use it. Again, she didn't indicate the measurement, but looking at it, it was close to 1 tablespoon. So I just have a regular unsalted butter, 1 tablespoon. So she also used cinnamon for her recipe. If you're a cinnamon fan, go ahead and use cinnamon. I have a lot of picky people in terms of liking or disliking cinnamon. So instead, I'm going to use my own version and use vanilla instead. But if you like cinnamon, go ahead and add cinnamon. And a little bit of, she says I don't have a vegetable olive oil because olive oil is very expensive in that part of the countries. So she used vegetable oil, but I'm going to use olive oil since I have it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. Also for my belt, I have my own made macrame belt. So for those who was interested to know if I still make those things, I usually don't have the time, but if I do, I would actually make it. So let's start with my yogurt and sour cream mixture. And again, I really am not a fan of cooking or baking anymore, as it's very time consuming and I do get tired. But for New Year, it's such a big celebration back home. Everybody goes to each other's houses. The whole neighborhood knows each other. So the New Year is being spent until when the 12 o'clock hits. Everybody just goes to each other's houses, celebrates New Year together. In this country, in terms of neighborhood, you do often ask me, do you have neighbors? Are you going and having coffees with them? Yes, I do. But they're from a different country, so understanding is very similar. So I am able to do that. For my American clients, it's not a common custom. I cannot just go and knock on their door and say, hey, here I am, let's have a coffee. So that's not an acceptable approach. But my neighbor, for instance, I'm not going to give a lot of details, but just from a brief description so you can get an idea what neighborhood looks like here is, he's very kind. In his aging years, he still finds the time to go and help neighbors with mowing their lawns, shoveling their snow. So he does whatever he can. Even when I return to my residence, he was so kind, always helped me with whatever I needed in terms of repairs and he does it out of kindness of his heart. And one time he even said, I'm a Christian man and that's what God put me to do. And I told him, I said, have you noticed that your health is also declining and here you are helping everybody? And he says, well, that's what I do as a good Christian man. So I do have neighbors like that, but you would not go to their houses and say, here I am, unannounced visit. Where in our countries, that was very common. Okay, so I mixed my sour cream and yogurt until it's smooth consistency. And I'm gonna go ahead and add 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Like I said, she does everything by eyeballing, and I'm going to do the same. And then again, stir it really well. And for the new year, I think poor women back home, they get so exhausted because they make a feast, because they know all those neighbors are going to be coming and they have to be prepared. And then I'm going to add my 2 eggs. Also like about the neighbors, I feel like I'm very lucky because all the neighbors, they know each other. And like I said, the specific neighbor, he knows everybody's phone numbers and contact information. And I literally mean that because one time we had a conversation and there was this guy, he's like few avenues away from us. And he said, oh yes, I know him. So it's really nice. Many times when I need something, I can easily text and ask. Also, there is another neighbor who is amazing as well. Great family. They have their own chickens, so many times you would see him bringing you eggs. Yeah, very good neighborhood. And then, like I said, we have a lot of immigrants, so we do visit each other. Oftentimes I might get a call and say, hey Olga, can you come? I got something that I need help with, which I really enjoy because that's how we grew up. Everybody was there for each other, and to see that here, it makes me very delighted. Okay, so after I mixed my baking soda, I'm going to go ahead and add 1 well, I don't know if it was 1 tablespoon, but it looks like that's how much she put in. So 1 tablespoon of butter, and then she also used about a teaspoon of oil. She used vegetable oil because she didn't have olive oil, but I'm going to use olive oil and then give it a mix. Also my vanilla. You can use cinnamon. I think instead of cinnamon, you could also use cardamom. You can just get creative and improvise. It's your cookies, it's your baking, so you can do whatever you want. As long as it's tasty and delicious, that's all that matters. So for the new year, I was talking to my cousins, and they were saying how they didn't sleep all night because of all this preparatory work that they have done. And I actually did the same. So what's common for the table is blinchiki. Blinchikis are the pancakes, but it's the our version of pancakes, which is not sweet, and it's filled with ground beef, sauteed with onions and spices. So I will show you when I get the table ready. And also they do different kinds of salads. They make stews. Some people, they even have roasted pigs. Anyways, the table has to be full with different kinds of foods. So right now I have 1 cup of flour that I'm going to sift. Again, I don't know if this is enough or not. Like I said, she was eyeballing everything. And for those who's interested, she's amazing. My family watches her. I watch her. She goes to different countries. I think she's originally herself is from Uzbekistan. But recently she went to Armenia and she went to my town, and the lady who was from my town was sharing this recipe. So the reason why I'm using spoon, not my hands, because I don't know if this is enough amount of flour. If it's not enough, if it's still very loose, I'll go ahead and add more. That's why I'm using my spoon. So yes, they celebrate New Year is very festive because that's one of the special holidays that we have back home. Also, Elvira, I'm not sponsored, or all these things that I share. As you could see, I don't even have the standard requirement to be monetized on YouTube. I just share because I really like what I see and what they do. What she likes, what she does is what I like about her is she brings all the communities together. She goes and enjoys their ethnic dishes, and she also shares that on her blog. So it looks like this is not enough. As you could see, it doesn't look like it's a dough. So I'm going to go ahead and bring another cup of flour. I got another cup of flour, but I'm not going to use all of it at once. I'm just going to add slowly, see how dense my dough gets before I give another addition. And I think that's how mainly women cook back home. There is no measurements. They just eyeball everything and it looks just amazing. So there you go. Yes. I wanted to mention that how small the online world really is. The signals that travel all over the world is astonishing. I recently was talking to my sister. She travels a lot due to requirement of her position, and she met somebody and they were talking about how this woman's uncle has a blog, but they like to watch this girl named Olga Sani. And grandparents are watching, so, and she called me, she's like, Olga, you would not believe this. And I said, what's going on? She says, I just met these people and they know about your blog. And I said, you must be kidding, because I don't even get that many views, or, and there are people. So I want to wish you a happy new year. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. My goal is, just like I mentioned in the beginning, I want to have money. And I would say why I want to have the money, because I have a big vision. Even in the past, when I used to share my vision, people would often say, first, take care of yourself. Those are too big to think about. But if it's in God's plan, it's going to happen, whether people discourage me or not. But my goal is eventually to have a fund where we can help kids, especially from impoverished countries, just give them a Christmas present. Just like we have a program here, it's called Christmas Bureau, where they help low-income families, giving them gifts. So I want to do the same in impoverished countries. So if I ever get to that point with my YouTube, I would love to see that happen. So for YouTube, the requirements are you have to have 4,000 watch hours I just helped the family, and I'm not going to say what I did. But she says, oh, you're doing this because you're getting money off of YouTube. Good job, Olga. And I said, no, I'm not getting any money. So I do have the analytics. I'm not even 4,000 watch hours. So I only have 241. So, but that's the ultimate goal. If we can reach that together, feel free to share with the people that you know. I know Armenian community is quite huge, all over the world. So even if 2-3 people subscribe, we can make this happen. And I want to say it in Armenian to the lovely folks that were watching and met my sister. Ձեր նոր տարին շնորհավորում եմ, ցանկանում եմ բոլորիդ առողջություն, հաջողություններ եւ երկար տարիների կյանք։ Շնորհակալություն նայելու համար։ Okay, so now after 2 cups of flour, I think my dough is sticky, but that's better than what it was before. Before it was more of a liquidy structure, but now it's coming to form a dough. And she said you have to leave it for 40 to 45 minutes. And after that, meanwhile, we can make our filling. And again, she didn't specify the measurements, but knowing from my previous making, so you have to use equal size of walnuts. You can roast your walnuts, but you don't have to. And equal size of sugar. So if I'm doing half cup of walnuts, then I would use half cup of sugar and half cup of flour. And you add all those three together. Okay, I will see you back after 45 minutes. I'm gonna let my dough rest, and then I will show you how it turns out. My dough has rested after 45 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and open up my dough. Okay, another question that was asked is what religion or what belief people have in this country, because this is country of people from all over the world. I would not just specify one type of belief. There is just different kinds of belief, but Christmas is being celebrated, and that's one of the holidays, as I have taken you along and showed you how it's being decorated and how it's being celebrated. But there is just different kinds of beliefs, and everybody respects each other's religion background. When it comes to me, I would not call myself a religious person. I believe there is a God, and I believe in Jesus, but I do not go to church every Sunday, and I'm not very religious. So I think everyone in our mind or in our head, we have this vision of God, what God looks like, or how do we picture him or imagine him. And there are people who don't. They think that this universe was just existed on its own. So I always try to put my vision of God into words, but I couldn't really come up with a good quote or a way of description. And it was just practically last week, we have this table in our work where people give out free items. And then I came across this calendar for 2025, and it has just different kinds of quotes from Mother Teresa and to all these famous people that lived on in this life. And it says that, I can read off from here. It says that God is too good to be unkind, and he is too wise to be mistaken. And when we cannot trace his hand, we must trust his heart. So I think that perfectly summarized how I see our Creator. And it was just perfectly put onto this calendar. Here you go, let me show you. I don't know if you could see it close enough, but I just read off to you. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my dough. And as many of you, I think a lot of people also from another channels that I watch, many people, they have no idea how people grow up in other places of the country. So I think they enjoy having this kind of conversations, or they take the information and share it in their videos, which is great. So, but I bring a lot of mental thinking in former Soviet countries, and you might even be surprised, but majority of the country's populations were atheists. And why is that? Because the people who were known to know God, they were considered, I remember the term they used to call is, oh, so and so is cuckoo. Did you see what he or she was saying about God? So that's how they were perceived. My grandfather, he held a very great position. He managed over 15 counties. So he was a very known leader back in the days. And I remember when he was here with us, after he got his diagnosis, he knew that he had very short time left on this earth. And I remember he was my greatest support. I still miss him so much. And one time I said, Grandpa, I know you never believed something greater, but do you believe that there is God? And he says, well, I'm sure there is something greater than us that created this universe. And I said, well, that's what God is. So I hope at his last days, I think at his heart he knew that God existed, but because he came from a country where everybody, well, I would say 90% were atheists, so he did not believe, or he was taught not to believe in God. Anyway, so that's the background, and I'm going to make a circle after I filled my filling. So for the filling, I just did half cup of sugar, half cup of walnut. I grinded my walnuts, and 2/3 of a cup flour sifted. So it's very sticky dough, actually hard to work with. But so you just make it into a nice circle. So I'm gonna use more flour because it's still pretty sticky. And she actually did say you can use olive oil for it, but I think flour will do it too. So, and I'm going to gently open. And you can use your rolling pin. I transferred my dough into baking pan. As you could see, it's a circle, and I slowly opened up with a rolling pin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some designs, and you can do a design of your choice. So I'm just going diagonally and just making this kind of marks with my fork. So you probably can't see it, but and you can get creative. So I think also this creates design, but it also makes holes for the dough now to rise up and burst. So I think that's the main purpose. So, and then I have egg yolk. I will go ahead and coat my dough with an egg yolk, and I will bake it under 350 Fahrenheit for 30 minutes, and our gata should be ready. The table is ready, and the guest will be showing up shortly. So I got my rice with saffron, and those are the blinchikis, the pancakes I was mentioning earlier in my vlog. So the one that has ground beef sauteed with onions and spices. I also really like this kidney bean salad. It's very delicious. I did not record all the videos because it's very time consuming, especially when you have to be in front of a camera. Emphasis is on presentation, and that just takes way a lot more time from me. So if you're interested, I can do separate videos, but pretty much everybody knows those recipes and everybody prepares those back home for New Year. And I have this salad Olivier. It sounds more like Olivia, but except we say Olivier. It has all kinds of veggies, peas, carrots, pickles, boiled eggs. Some people use ham, some people use kalbasa, others use ground beef. So that's our salad Olivier. And then I marinated my chicken with saffron, turmeric, lemon, different kinds of spices. And then I made this radish salad with dill. And I have my Persian inspired green beans stew. And that's the homemade compote. So this is the table I got for our supper. And I will show you, I also made some strawberry cake and a chocolate cake. I didn't decorate as well as I would wish to, but I hope it's tasty. Also forgive my dishes. I do not invest in China dishes. I know a lot of people back home, they pay very high emphasis on having very beautiful and fancy dishes. So I just used what I had. See you at the dessert table. Our sweet table is ready. Here's the strawberry cake that I made. It doesn't look its best, but I hope it's tasty. And that's the chocolate cake. And we got some Spanish sweets. And that's our gata and tiramisu. Tiramisu is from the store, but it's very delicious. Let's raise this glass to Happy New Year 2025. Again, to health, wealth, happiness, and all the best. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!